1.4 billion rand debt to Rand Water, which has resulted to 40% cuts in bulk water supply in some areas. Best signed the memorandum of demands and addressed the frustrated residents who are calling for her resignation.
Greeting residents, I heard what you are asking for in your memorandum. I will ensure that we respond within the time frame we were given. Thank you.
The mayor refused to respond to calls for her resignation. Thandol Hlengcobo, Eyewitness News.
Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube has warned Operation Dudula members they will face the full might of the law if they disrupt schools. After spending the past couple of weeks blocking foreign nationals from accessing public healthcare facilities, Operation Dudula has now shifted its attention to public schools. Yesterday, the organization visited several schools in Soweto and dropped off memorandums saying they must stop enrolling undocumented foreign pupils. The Gauteng Education Department has explained to the group that it has a constitutional obligation to cater to all children of school-going age, regardless of their documentation or immigration status. Basic Education National Spokesperson Terence Khala.
Minister Kwagube has continued to emphasize that the safety of learners remains a top priority for the 7th administration, reaffirming her department's commitment to ensuring that schools are safe spaces for children, free from abuse, intimidation and disruption.
And a criminologist says more minors are getting involved in gangsterism in the Western Cape because they've not been provided with an alternative. Just last week, a 14-year-old boy was shot in the head multiple times in a suspected gang-related incident in Elsie's River. In less than 3 days, police arrested 2 minors for illegal possession of guns in Mannenberg and Hanover Park. These are the most recent among numerous incidents involving minors in suspected gang-related activity in the province over the past few months. Carlo Peterson has more.
Criminologist Dr. Simon Howell says minors get involved in gangs as a response to a host of social issues.
Kids join gangs because they want to, in the same way that people want good jobs and want to become or have careers so as that they can earn an income and have a nice life. I mean, that's exactly what gangsterism is offering.
Howell says children join gangs because they look up to gang leaders who have power and money.
Gangsterism is powerful precisely because we have yet to provide a realizable and realistic alternative for young people to actually develop themselves and develop their skill set and have careers and have fruitful lives.
Howell says while policing is important, it's not enough to deter young people from seeing gangsterism as an option. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in the US, comedian Jimmy Kimmel will return to his late-night talk show on Tuesday after he was suspended for making jokes relating to the death of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk. Disney, which owns the US broadcast network that airs Jimmy Kimmel Live, said yesterday that it suspended the show because it felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. The comic's abrupt suspension came after threats by the federal TV regulator to revoke ABC's broadcast license, sparking nationwide debates over free speech. US President Donald Trump had welcomed Kimmel's suspension and suggested that some TV networks should have their licenses taken away for negative coverage of the president. But Trump did not address Kimmel's reinstatement when a reporter asked about it during a White House event yesterday. Gold's trading at $3,783.60 an ounce. The rand's at 17.31 to the dollar, at 23.38 to the pound, at 20.42 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $66.57 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Harton, we've got an accident on the M1 North that happened right after Harton Drive, causing heavy delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange due to roadworks.
A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in Gauteng this afternoon with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 30 and 32 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola claims Police Minister Senzo Mchunu issued the instruction to disband the KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team because he didn't believe there were politically motivated killings post-1994.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Tuesday, the 23rd of September. There is a lot going on, but I want to really jump into the crux of the conversation that we're going to be having today. And I'm going to ask this question. When does religion or your beliefs start to become a mental health crisis? And I'll tell you exactly why that is coming to mind at the moment as something that I want to talk about. And it's not just religion, any kind of belief. At what point do you say this is now a mental health crisis? I'll take feature. We're going to be talking about zero-rated learning platform with Jose Andre, who is the Youth Mobile CEO. The second half of the show, we're going to talk the series edition on Midlife Renewal. It's episode 4. Can you believe we're almost towards the end of the month? And today we're talking reinventing your career. Don't worry if you've missed episodes 1 to 3, and there's lots that you can catch up on there. You can find it on primemediaplus.com. We'll be joined by Advaita Naidu, who is Africa MD at Jackhammer Global. Then our car feature for today, we're going to be chatting about the fact that South Africa is being ranked 4th most challenging country to drive in. That's number 4, most challenging country to drive in. I cannot believe it, but also the potholes don't lie in this country. We'll be joined by Michael Pashut, who is owner of the online platform Change Cars and host of All Things Motoring on DSTV channel 189. So get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702, using the hashtag 702 afternoons, and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Let's have a conversation around religion, belief systems, practices that then have reached a point of mental health crisis. There's been a big conversation online around this rapture that's supposed to have happened either the 23rd or the 24th. Now, this rapture, people have been sharing videos, and I'm not saying this tongue-in-cheek. This is what has been shared. Sharing stories of how you need to handle the time that you're going to be taken, and it's only going to be Christians who are saved that are going to be taken. Some have been saying, do not, look down, don't hold on to anything when the rapture is happening. There are individuals who abroad have been giving away their things, selling their cars, giving away money, because they're saying this is Jesus Christ coming back. This is the rapture. Those that are saved are being called home. Now, at some point, it is alleged that a woman who works within KPMG, like a junior accountant, a junior staff member, sent an email to the company countrywide, like every single employee, worldwide rather, not countrywide. And in that email, a 200-page document was shared explaining that, guys, in essence, she was saying you all need to be prepared for this rapture, and you know, these are the things you need to be doing, some kind of manifesto that was shared. Okay, cool. Now people started making jokes about it. Oh, yes, give me your money if you're going to be going in the rapture. Or others are talking to me like I'm staying behind. Why would you assume that I'm not saved enough to be, taken with this rapture? People in Australia are like, it's already the 23rd, nothing's happened. Or others are joking to say, yes, everybody in South Africa is gone and we're all now in hell, and so on and so forth. Now, let me bring it back to the part about the mental health crisis. Now, I saw a gentleman who was saying it's all good and well to make jokes and laugh about individuals who are doing these things that seem quite extreme in the name of their religious beliefs. It's all good and well to be making jokes and laughing at people and being like, oh yeah, they're saying the world is going to end. Wasn't there supposed to be a rapture 10 years ago or 15 years ago? Every time there's a rapture, people are making jokes. And then he goes on to say, his concern is the following. You get people who are so, he didn't use the word obsessed, but are so adamant in their belief that when the so-called rapture now doesn't happen, you're not taken and you are a part of Jesus's return. You get people who now will do extreme things to ensure that their belief is confirmed and validated. And he gave an example to say, while it might all seem harmless and people are making jokes, you might get that person who now says is panicked about rapture and them not being taken, that they end up taking the lives of themselves and their families because they had planned for a life where they're being called home. Where now it's not even to say, oh, I believe Jesus is coming back. He's coming back day after tomorrow. We're selling our things. We're quitting our jobs. These are all the things we're doing. Now, when it becomes scary is the fact that some people will do anything to ensure that their belief is confirmed, which is I should be home tomorrow or the day after. And then he goes on to say, some of us are not even aware that there's a thing called religious psychosis. Psychosis is a term, a medical term. So for anybody who understands in the psych space, but these are usually linked to specific beliefs. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, but I want to hear from all of you because it really got me thinking about the people who go all the way with their beliefs to the point that it really does become a mental health crisis. So I want to ask of all of you, at what point is a person's belief, at what point is a person's understanding and practice of religion, culture, anything, at what point is it now a mental health crisis? At what point? And I'm not saying that the beliefs are untrue or even that they are true, but I'm saying at what point is your belief now something that is a mental health crisis? As in your family needs to be getting help in. At what point, and I'm sure many of you have seen it in your homes around various different things. There are people who have said that they received a calling to go into healing and ancestral work. But sometimes that was not a calling. Sometimes you were having a mental health crisis. And it seems like a calling because dots are not joining together. Right? So I want to hear from you, 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Would you, General Masemula, tell the minister I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it.
You hear that? I do think that some of us are being too simplistic by arguing that, you should have just said no and resigned. That's not really how life works. How many of you have actually ended up implementing things because your bosses were putting pressure on you? So it's very easy for us to sit outside and say, but why didn't he just resign?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
The South African Future Trust Summit's Premium Entrepreneurial Showcase returns to the Sandton Convention Centre on the 5th and 6th of November. In partnership with Standard Bank, the summit will bring together entrepreneurs with bold ideas and big ambition. Join masterclasses with industry experts who will share valuable knowledge on relevant topics and seize the opportunity to pitch your business ideas to leading investors. Book your seat now at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org in partnership with 702.
Pop, pop, little shop.
Checkers Little Shop is back with 46 new minis. Get one free when you swipe and spend 200 Rand on deals like Twin Saver 2-ply white toilet rolls 24-pack for $159.99 and Clover Buttro full cream modified butter spread 500 grams for $79.99. Plus, stand to win a trip to Legoland Dubai. Simply buy any 3 participating products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers. T's and C's apply.
This is your business.
Hooray!
This is your business supercharged with the help of Zero accounting software.
Hooray!
This is your business supercharged with the help of Zero, finding you have more time to focus on things you love and not endless admin. Supercharge your business today.
Search Zero with an N.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
MultiChoice is under pressure from many directions. On the face of it, it's losing subscribers. What are you looking for from MultiChoice? What are you going to do with it?
What we're going to do is combine these forces with those of Canal Plus to really bring the best of both worlds and the best available content on the planet to African consumers.
Maxime Sidat, the CEO at Canal Plus.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, banking on local growth with Club Med South Africa to bring the first resort of its kind to the country, opening a new chapter for tourism and supporting growth in the hospitality industry. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters.
702 Afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja. Call Relebogile
on 011
883
0702.
19 minutes after 1 o'clock. At what point is the question I'm asking? Does religion or your beliefs become a mental health crisis? On the back of everybody speaking about the rapture, which I have no issue with that conversation, but the person who enlightened me to the thought that some of you might take these things as a joke, but you don't realize how far people are willing to go to validate their belief, that people could be losing their lives. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Johan in the Val, hi.
How are you, Relebogile?
Good, thanks, and you?
Fantastic, thank you. So it reaches the point of radicalism and insanity when fellow Christians, let's say I'm rather a Bible-believing person, when you start selling your stuff and doing date setting because it's not biblical. No one knows the day or the hour. So I agree with you in that regard. I also agree with it becomes insanity when certain families have the ability to do cleansing ceremonies, but then always someone will drown. And it's a part of the culture, but it's actually Inkanyamba religion. Then it's also radicalism when in Hinduism, when there's no food, that the cows get fed before the women and children. That's also radicalism. And then when Muslims have 9-year-old girls pregnant, that's also radicalism. And then when Catholic priests can do whatever they want because Catholicism and Christianity is not the same thing. It also reaches radicalism when, priests can do with boys whatever they want, and 702 won't cover it, the news won't cover it. That's when it reaches radicalism. So I hope that covers all aspects of it.
I think you've articulated that so well, and you've even gone a step further with some of the things that you are saying, which are currently lawful in their countries, like the one you mentioned about, there are countries today where a 9-year-old can be raped, and then the family forces you to go marry your rapist to avoid shame.
Right.
And I'm not sure, Johan, at what point is it radicalism versus just not knowing any better? Like, I'm so confused. But for me, I just feel like your child not being happy should be sufficient enough for you to not think otherwise. But thank you for articulating that, because it isn't even just religion. There are just many belief systems around the world, even in little cults that start to crop up in the name of religion, where people end up taking their own lives and start, there was some other one in the US where the woman was a leader, and I don't recall what had happened, but at some point she passed away, and they just kept praying to her body until
crazy.
You see what I'm saying? And it's scary. It is so scary, Johan and Val. Thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, it is scary, the things that happen outside. It is scary. But again, at what point is it a mental health crisis? On the WhatsApp line, one says, I believe that Jesus will descend just like he ascended. But the Bible says we must wait upon him because we do not know the time. At one stage, I thought the world ends when you die. That is from Calvin. Hi, there's 702 people that don't know their Bible will believe this story of the rapture. The Bible talks about this. It warns us of false prophecy. but I understand where you're coming from. Just last night, I told my wife the person that started this thing is mentally sick, is what they say. Another person is saying, Lebo, I don't believe in religion. I believe in science. Religion is faith, science is fact. That is Derek in Paul's Hof. Another person says we are promoting nonsense in the name of religion. This rapture thing is utter nonsense. Faisal in Houghton, hi. Hi, Faisal. Yes, go ahead, Faisal. You're live.
Hi, on this rapture issue, I know a good few years ago, there was a pastor that called everybody to a place in Braamfontein, and it was just sort of like the world was going to be coming to an end. But anyway, I didn't attend. The world still carries on, etc. But I will respond to your previous caller, Johan. You made mention about
Oh,
the Muslim
Faisal, sorry, I lost you for a split second because I can hear you on the road. Just repeat that about Johan's call.
You mentioned something about Muslim girls and 9-year-old. I don't recall. I can't recall exactly what he said. But I'm not too sure if he referred to Muslim girls either marrying or being raped at 9-year-old, which is absolute nonsense. I'm a Muslim. I've never heard about it unless Johan in his previous life has actually experienced that. He talks absolute rubbish.
Let me clarify, Faisal, because I don't think you heard the entire conversation. Did you?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I just happened to switch on at about the time.
Yes. So when Johan was trying to clarify that it's not only Christianity that has extremism in it, because the question is, at what point does religion or one's beliefs become a mental health crisis? So he was using examples to say there are other religions outside of Christianity where it becomes radical. So he was giving examples of radical scenarios, not to say it is a blanket Muslims and 9-year-olds and rape and marriage, if that clarifies it for you.
Yeah, but the thing is, he seemed to have used something in the Muslim religion or something in the Muslim culture that indicates some sort of radicalism that you believe in, which I think is absolutely uncalled for.
But hold on, Faisal, hold on. No. I would have called it out had he made it a blanket statement. He didn't make it a blanket statement. He gave examples of various religions where extremism happens.
Okay. Can we repeat what he said then?
I won't be able to repeat it verbatim, but I'm going to pass you back to our producer. If you want to be able to have a listen back, the podcast will be put up. Had he made a blanket statement that was insulting an entire religion, do you think I would have called it out live on air?
I would have. Anybody that knows any of the religions should have actually
called
it out.
Hold on. Would you have expected me to call it out? Do you think I would have called it out?
Yes, I would have expected you to call it out.
Okay, so I would have called it out, but you also yourself are admitting you didn't hear the whole conversation. So I know you want to. Yes?
Yes, I actually want to actually understand what he tried to say because I need to actually correct him if he was wrong. And he seemed to be wrong.
Okay, you go ahead and clarify, Faisal.
No, so that is why I'm trying to clarify what did he actually say so that I can agree or disagree with him.
Okay, so I can't use my time on air to now try and go back to a recording.
You spent 1 minute explaining why you cannot do it when you could have told me exactly what he said.
3.5 minutes, Faisal, explaining to you. I have a clock in front of me. I'm going to pass you back to our producer so we can give everybody an opportunity. If anybody in the Muslim faith feels that what was actually any faith was a blanket statement that was insinuating that in Islam, in Hinduism, in Christianity, if I missed something, I will apologize in advance. But from what I understood was being said, it was not a blanket statement. It was around extremism, of which there are in every single religion and belief system. Hence, we have the religious discrimination we do, where somebody will take one thing that a Christian did or one thing that a Muslim person did and then label everybody that way. But I want to make it clear this is not the space for us to be, dismissing people's belief systems. Farai says, Relebogile, the truth is that there's nothing unique about the rapture, religious fundamentalism nonsense. People with mental issues, with suicidal leanings will always use anything to end up killing themselves and others. Yo, that is a hectic one. As somebody says, Faisal's triggered for no reasons. I think he is radicalized. No, let's give Faisal an opportunity because he admitted himself he heard in between. So I'm going to give him an opportunity as soon as the podcast is up to have a listen to what the conversation was. But we do not tolerate discrimination of any sorts, particularly around belief systems on this show. Hence, we have a feature called Belief Matters. Here are some of your voice notes on 072-702-1702.
Relebogile, congratulations on your album. We heard through the grapevine this morning on another station, and hey, we were told that Batamudimu, you didn't know that this here lady's got like talent, and apparently that's your first love, like music and singing stuff. And can you just give us a taste of what it is? I'm sure management can allow that. Some belief, man. Rakopela, Jay, Ruko. I mean, Kabushiki holiday in the website. Some belief, man. KB for his shop.
Thank you, KB, for exposing me. I have an EP out. It's called Still Me. Music is my first love. You heard it on another station. Thank you to the also to 702 Soulful Sundays that played my lead single Still Me. But yeah, head over to the streaming platforms if you want to hear what my music sounds like. And it's part of my 40 before 40 gift that I wanted to give to myself, which is finally release music I've been sitting on. I see all of your messages. I see all of your voice notes. We'll go to them after the news. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. A report by law firm Cliff Decker Hofmeyer has found that Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kenny Kunene was telling the truth about accompanying a young journalist when he was found by police at the home of murder-accused Katiso KT Molefe. On the 21st of July, police raided Molefe's Sandton home and arrested him for the murders of Opa DJ Sambodi Safoka and his two bodyguards. Following the incident, Kunene was suspended by his party and had to resign from his position as Johannesburg Transport MMC, pending the finalization of an investigation against him. Fochville Executive Mayor Nozuko Best says her office will try to respond to residents' demands for the immediate restoration of water within the given time frame of 25 hours. Gokosi Township residents in Johannesburg's West Rand took to the streets marching from the township to the N12 highway this morning. The community has had dry taps for weeks, with residents forced to fetch water from the local river. And Malawi's former President Peter Mutharika has taken a comfortable lead in the country's presidential race, with 2/3 of districts having reported provisional results. The 85-year-old has received around 66% of the valid votes counted so far, with his closest rival, the incumbent 70-year-old Lazarus Chakwera, trailing on around 24%. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 o'clock.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Take A Lot. Happy delivered.
Well, travelling on the N3 North, we've got delays. In fact, heavy traffic volumes between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 South. An accident reported right near Vincent Chabalala Road, causing delays coming out of Marlborough Drive. While travelling in the Midrand area, we've got delays on the N1 South. This is between New Road and Allendale Road. An accident is between these 2 points, and that's the reason for the queue. In Houghton, another accident reported on the M1 North after Houghton Drive, causing delays. There's also queuing traffic on the Mike 1 North between Carr Street and Empire Road due to roadworks. I'll have more updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Traffic is trafficking. The robots aren't AI, but more like an eye roll, and service delivery isn't delivering, but luckily Take A Lot is. Shop anything from beauty and sport to tech and toys at everyday low prices and get it delivered to your door faster than you can get home, even when you take the back roads. A delivery so quick, the speed thrills. Halala with no limits, just the open road of happiness before you. Take A Lot, happy delivered.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The Patriotic Alliance says it has cleared its Deputy President, Kenny Kunene. This is of any wrongdoing following an investigation into his alleged criminal connections. Kunene couldn't quite explain why he was at Milifa's house. Gayton McKenzie announcing on Facebook that an investigation found that Kunene's story does indeed check out. If you believe that, you might believe that the princess really did kiss a frog that turned into a prince.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
This isn't an event, it's a statement. When you choose Thirst Mobile Bar Services, you choose confidence without spectacle. These discreet mobile bars come with expert mixologists and service that speaks louder than words. Every detail refined, every pour intentional, every guest remembered. Thirst Mobile Bar Services, the perfect ingredient, the perfect outcome for those who expect more and settle for nothing less. Secure your year-end date now at thirst.co.za.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, ASA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Backed by popular demand, legendary jazz icon Kenny G will be performing at the Super Bowl at Sun City on Friday, the 3rd of October. Get ready for an unforgettable night of timeless hits and pure musical magic. Get your tickets from webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Breakout Events and 702.
Spend your afternoon
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
24 minutes to 2 o'clock. We're talking about religious, cultural, even culty beliefs. Any beliefs that reach a point that now it's a mental health crisis. At what is that point? What is that measure? 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 and 702. Mohammed from Kilani, go ahead.
Hi, Relebogile. I just wanted to clarify, and I think the point that Faisal phoned in was more around it's not an Islamic or Muslim thing. That 9-year-old, that specific example that Johan gave, is more aligned to cultural than actual religious, and I think that's the generalization or the kind of sentiment that permeates through society, is that this is an Islamic thing, and specifically around that 9-year-old or rape victim and must be forced to marry. It has no basis within the Islamic religion or teachings. So I think that's just a clarification point that I'd like to.
I hear you, Mohammed. Did you hear what the initial caller was referring to?
Yes, it was. He gave specific examples.
Yes.
So I'm looking at genitalia mutilation.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it has been covered by the likes of Riza Aslan and Mehdi Hassan when he's in the Oxford, dialogue, etc. And they use these tropes and stereotypes within the Islamic context, within the Hinduism, and so we must be very careful as a society not to label this or certain things specific to religion when it's actually a tribal or a kind of cultural thing that is being applied.
I hear you. Thank you so much for that, Mohammed. And I think many people are not aware about what you are sharing. Thank you for clarifying. So for the purposes of peace and stability, here is the call.
Then it's also radicalism when in Hinduism, when there's no food, that the cows get fed before the women and children. That's also radicalism. And then when Muslims have 9-year-old girls pregnant, that's also radicalism. And then when...
Thank you so much. So thank you for clarifying. And I completely agree with this last caller who was saying it is not a unique to Muslim, it is a tribe specific, but also, again, in the defense of the previous caller, he was speaking about radicalism in general. And I hope we're not limiting this conversation to anything extreme in religion. Hence, I said cultural beliefs as well. There are so many things that people believe in that, in my view, reach a point where there's a mental health crisis. All right, your voice notes, 0727021702.
Hi, Relebogile. Remember, there was also a few years back another rapture that was predicted. I remember a group of, I don't know, should I say, staunch Christians. They gathered at a hotel in Braamfontein. I can't remember the name of the hotel. And they had also given away their belongings, left their homes to other people. They were just left with nothing. So I don't know how they coped with life after that. And how many times does this rapture happen? You know, if people really predict raptures like this. Okay, good luck to them. They can donate their belongings to me. MG.
Guys, you know, there's a saying that goes that when everybody panics, the wise do the wise thing, and that is to pause.
Pleasant afternoon, Cecile Relebogile. Trust you are well. You know, the thing about belief and beliefs is that they are primarily unscientific. It's a minefield, and they tend to override logic and rationality. Whether right or wrong, one would hear the inaudible, see the invisible, and to some extent touch the intangible. In that space, you need to have a voice of reason and guidance, someone who can talk to you from a mature perspective to provide guidance so that you are not misled in how you go about them. But thanks for a great show. Tsepo in Boksburg.
The statement made about people, about young girls being pregnant in the Muslim faith, that guy must get his facts straight, because it's not a Muslim thing. And so it's okay for when children get raped that are 9 years old and 3 years old and 5 years old that are not Muslim and are also in this situation. So don't make it a Muslim thing. So now you are just looking for problems.
Guys, let's differentiate between culture and religion. There's a big difference between culture and religion. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and if she's raped, I will never ever let her marry her rapist. So let's differentiate between culture and religion, please.
Thank you so much. And to even go further, guys, there are cultural practices all over, including on our own continent, that are not linked to even anything authentic. You can call it, you can label it whatever it is, but there are practices like that that are happening. Even today, where you see young teenage girls being married off to grown men. So let us make it clear. It is not unique to one religion or another religion or a belief system. It is in my view, evil people behavior. That is what it is. It is irrespective, but completely agreed with everybody saying that it is very easy that certain things are labeled a certain thing because of how it's been portrayed. So thank you to all of you, particularly those of you of the Muslim faith. I think it was Muhammad who called in to clarify, to say some of these things are specific tribes. So we can't even, I can't sit here and say, we know in this particular tribe, let's say the Tswana tribe, X, Y, and Z practices happen, but not all Tswana tribes are that way. But yes, to bring it back, we're speaking about scenarios where it is extreme, where now we need some kind of psychiatric intervention because it's a mental crisis.
Hi, Relebogile. This is Kate in Pretoria. Look, I think conversations about religion will always get people emotional, and I think there is definitely a valid conversation to be had about the role of religion in the world in 2025. But to answer your question about a mental health crisis, I think any religion, any leader, whether that be political or religious, or even just like a social community leader, that convinces people to put their critical thinking offline is a problem. I think as soon as people are willing to give up their critical thinking, we have to ask serious questions about their mental state and how in control of their actions they are.
Relebogile, when we talk about jumping to conclusions, unfortunately, the gentleman had only the part that triggered him and not the rest of the conversation. And unfortunately, he based his argument and anger on a small piece of what was said. That's a bit sad.
Here's something that most people don't know when they say they have faith and it's their faith. Faith is a term people use when they don't have evidence for something. If there was evidence, you wouldn't have to have faith. It's like having faith in cars. You don't have to have faith in cars because cars exist. So, yeah, faith is, it's bandied around, but it's not the right word, I think. Faith in something for which there's no evidence is by definition irrational. That's just the way it is. Got it from there, but
Thank you so much. Hi, Relebogile, I'm a Christian. I believe that prayer is a powerful way to connect with God. It gives me guidance when I feel lost, strength when I face challenges, and hope when things seem uncertain. I believe that through prayer we can find peace in our hearts and clarity in our decision, trusting that God is always listening and working in our lives, even when we don't immediately see the answers. Now, when I come back to the original question that I asked, which is, at what point should one's beliefs, the religion, cultural, any beliefs, faith, at what point is it a mental health crisis? The one thing that stood out is the voice note where she said where your logical thinking, and I might be saying it not verbatim, goes out the window, and the caller who referred to any kind of radicalism or extremism. And it's something I think we're going to have to think about, because sometimes, guys, that strong faith is what keeps you alive. Sometimes that non-science-based evidence, that miracle, is what keeps you alive and saves your life. But in the same breath, sometimes that is the thing that can also make you lose your way and kill you or kill others. So I hope we can all stay safe, be safe, remain respectful to one another, and continue to use the space and this platform as a way to learn and not just tolerate, but to be respectful and appreciative for every single person's belief in the context of how that person believes it. And thank you so much for all your calls and your messages.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Helen is bigger than the DA. In the same way that Cyril Ramaphosa was bigger than the ANC at some point. I don't care what color the person is. I really don't. I don't even care how old the person is. If they can do the job, let them do the job. But I think we must also be sober about what the job actually entails. I don't think anybody is going to be able to walk into those council chambers and begin to bark orders. I think that the most successful mayor in Joburg will be the one that is able to manage the dynamics of coalition politics.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Mzansi, your dreams could take flight when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus this Tuesday for a massive 152 million rand in total estimated jackpots. So play Powerball for an estimated 83 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 69 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Weekdays on the highway, weekends on the trail, in rain, on tar, or halfway up a gravel pass. With the new Bridgestone Jeweler All-Terrain AT002, you don't have to choose. Bridgestone, prepared to perform whatever the terrain.
702
Tech Feature.
11 minutes to 2 o'clock in our tech feature for today. We're talking about a zero-rated learning platform. I want to hear from all of you on Audible 1 8830 the WhatsApp line 072702 and 702. We're joined by Jose Andre, who is from the company Technovator. We're going to be talking about YOMO, Youth Mobile. Welcome, Jose. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Relebogile, and good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you for having us.
Jose, tell me about your background in this tech space.
Sure. Okay. That's an awkward place to start. I thought we'll go straight to the technology.
We will get there, but I think sometimes we go straight to the tech and we maybe lack an appreciation of the different ways. Because sometimes people get into the tech space because they just had money to.
Yeah.
Others have been like grinding since they were 14. And I think it's important to understand that this is a long game business. It's not a overnight thing.
No, that's an important consideration. I think maybe just to give you a synopsis of it. So in 2014, 2015, I entered the technology space with a business called Pax Africana. I don't come from a traditionally tech background. I come from a legal background. And I had this fascination with the intersection of the law and technology, and that's where my tech journey began. Long story short, a couple of years later, we had the privilege of selling portions of Pax Africana to Blue Label Telecoms, and then in that way, Technovator was born.
Okay, so tell us about YOMO and what it is.
So YOMO is South Africa's first mobile virtual network operator built to meet the connectivity needs of young South Africans. So it's an MVNO, as you would know, is a traditional network operator. Fundamental difference is that the other guys have infrastructure. This is the MNOs. We don't have infrastructure. So we build our network capability and our offerings on the top of somebody else's network.
Why is that an important thing to note? Because I think for anybody who doesn't operate in that space, who might not have an understanding of, you've got these, let's call it 3-4 big players that pretty much are carrying everybody. But I think it's important you speak to that, because we can't have a future where it's going to just remain this way forever.
Sure. Look, I mean, the trends, and that's a good point you make, Relebogile. The trend seems to suggest globally that that's not going to be the case. So you will have your MNOs, which are your mobile network operators. This is, in our case, Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, and Telkom. They will continue to play, I think, a larger role in the provision of infrastructure. But in terms of actually building client-facing product propositions, that space is going to be taken over by MVNOs, at least if the trends are anything to go by, the global trends. But why it's important and why it's such a unique opposition is that then you can do things like YOMO, because you can take a particular segment of the market, build a unique product proposition that speaks to that segment of the market in a way that traditional telecoms cannot. So in our case, we've built YOMO to connect young South Africans to opportunity. So the focus of YOMO is not, data, voice, and minutes in the traditional sense. We're interested in what happens in the aftermath of connectivity. And that is that young people get connected to opportunity. So we've built this using 3 pillars. The first is mobile connectivity, which is everything you know about mobile connectivity: voice, data, SMS, MMS, and all of that. But what we've done on that pillar is we've made it extremely affordable. So we actually raising our hand, and we're fighting to probably become the most affordable telecommunications offering in the country. So we want data to fall. That's at the core of our aspirations. But the second thing we've done is we've overlaid our mobile connectivity layer with something called the opportunity ecosystem, which is built on a platform called the Yomoverse, which is this grand container that allows you to onboard multifaceted pathways of opportunity, development, resources, and all of that. The reason for that is we've basically segmented our connectivity in between recreational connectivity and developmental connectivity. So developmental connectivity, which is the connectivity you use for empowerment, for skills development, for learning and earning opportunities, that doesn't deplete bundles on our network. But everything else then, attracts a cost and depletes bundles. And the reason for that is we're trying to deal with this NEET number, the number of young South Africans who are not in employment, education, and training. So on the Yomoverse, you've got more than 5,900 courses available free of charge, zero rated. Young South Africans can get instant access to it once they've got a Yomo SIM. And we then deal with the not in education and training component of the NEET acronym, and we leave the not in employment. And there, our strategy is to really build what we call earning opportunities more than focusing on traditional employment. So that's what Yomo essentially is.
So if you aren't a young person, would you have access to this platform?
You shouldn't.
Yes.
You shouldn't. In the way we've packaged the product, you shouldn't have access to it. And I know it's a harsh answer to give, but you
are very clear in your mandate.
We're very clear in our mandate, and it's because we're sitting on a ticking time bomb. Because what is going to happen if we think we have a crisis now, insofar as youth unemployment is concerned, then we have an even bigger one looming. Imagine 10 years from now, a generation of young South Africans who have never had proper opportunity to work or to have an earning opportunity. Then that's gun fodder for something that I don't even want to begin to conceive. So we think that there's enough out there for everybody else to deal with. But our target is the young South African, because we want to create what we call the connected youth, which is a young South African who's not connected to the internet, but connected to opportunity. And we think that if we do that, then the spillover will be seen and benefited by everyone. The expression, a rising tide raises all boats. I think that's essentially how we're thinking about it. And we want to focus on young South Africans.
Okay, so talk to us about the packages that come with this. I mean, we know, like you said, subscription would then give a person free access to the learning part of it. Yeah. You get access to the courses, and those all become zero rated. What is the absolute basic package, and maybe the premium package if there is?
All right, so let me maybe answer the question this way. So we've built it for a very low LSM, which is where the bulk of young South Africans find themselves. So if you look at our packages, our top-up packages, it's everything that everybody currently offers. Your 5 Rand, your 10 Rand, your 20 Rand, and so on. We've got those top-up packages. And then how it simply works is, as long as you've topped up on our network within that period, doesn't matter how low your top up was, you get access to the zero rated learning, earning, and because we don't want your recreational activities to compete with your developmental activity. So it's not that you have to acquire a certain subscription to have access to all of these benefits, which is the skills orbit inside the Yomoverse, Tusky, which is a gig platform, and the Yomo Ambassador program, which is an earning opportunity. As long as you've recharged, doesn't matter how little, that comes to you for free, because we're able to segment the traffic on our network. So that's how we've structured it.
In terms of the next level for the business, I mean, you have launched. What kind of support would you want from people? If there aren't young people listening, and maybe their parents are listening, where would you like to direct them?
So where we are now in a rollout phase is we are building what we call a broad stakeholder coalition for opportunity. So in other words, we're talking to everybody who has got anything that they believe is useful and developmental for young South Africans. We're asking them to come free of charge and dump it on the Yomoverse so that young South Africans can access it in a central place on a zero-rated basis. So that's really where we are in terms of trying to drum up support. From a customer acquisition perspective, we launched with 44,000 subscribers. We're happy with where we are on a subscriber base for now, but between now and June of next year, we're running a campaign called 1 Million Connected Youth, where we want to connect 1 million young South Africans to opportunity by putting a Yomo SIM in their hands. And the big thing is we want them to find a Yomoverse that is rich in opportunity and content. And that requires the likes of Prime Media and everybody else who's willing to listen to actually come on board and say, I've got these 5 opportunities. I've got this course that once young people have, I think I can absorb them. I've got this particular, well-being support that I can make available. We're saying, give it to us. Let's put it on the Yomoverse. Let them access it on a zero-rated basis.
Thank you so much for coming through. The website is yomo.mobi. Share it with all the young people that you have in your life. Thank you so much for your time.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Would you, General Masemula, tell the minister I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it.
You hear that? I do think that some of us are being too simplistic by arguing that, you should have just said no and resigned. That's not really how life works. How many of you have actually ended up implementing things because your bosses were putting pressure on you? So it's very easy for us to sit outside and say, but why didn't he just resign?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Big dreams, small budget? No problem. With Prime Media Credit, your business can be on 947, 702, KFM 94.5 and Cape Talk today and pay later. Flexible finance, maximum impact. Email advertise@primemedia.co.za. Prime Media Credit, powered by Bridgement.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. Police have praised the political killings task team after convicted murderer Sabelo Pewa was sentenced to 2 life terms and 20 years behind bars. Pewa was convicted of shooting dead Amos Ngcobo in Hillcrest in Durban 2017 and former Richmond municipal managers Busiso Sithole in March 2017. The Pietermaritzburg High Court, sitting in Durban, sentenced Pewa today. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
Former Richmond municipal manager Busiso Sithole was ambushed, shot and killed while he was probing corruption relating to tenders in the municipality. His murder case was taken by the political killings task team. Through ballistic analysis, the team established the parallel case of Amos Ngcobo. Spokesperson at Lenda Mate.
Well done to the SAPS Political Killings Task Team for cracking this case and ensuring a lengthy conviction for the hitman. Through this case, we were able to link and solve other cases, such as the murder of Amos Ngcobo. The number of life sentences secured by the task team is now more than 30 life sentences secured for several hitmen and hit orderers.
Pewa was also sentenced to 20 years for the attempted murder of a police officer, unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
A report by law firm Cliff Decker Hofmeyer has found that Patriotic Alliance Deputy President Kenny Kunene was telling the truth about accompanying a young journalist when he was found by police at the home of murder-accused Katiso KT Molefe. On the 21st of July, police raided Molefe's Sandton home and arrested him for the murders of Opa DJ Sambodi Safoka and his 2 bodyguards. Following the incident, Kunene was suspended by his party and had to resign from his position as Johannesburg Transport MMC, pending the finalization of an investigation against him. The PA commissioned the law firm to investigate why Kunene was at Molefe's home and whether he has any links to the controversial businessman. Tabiso Goba has more.
Kenny Kunene is the sole director of the online news website Africa News Global. The Cliff Decker Hofmeyr report says Kunene was contacted by an old acquaintance offering his news website an exclusive interview with Katiso Katie Mulifi. Mulifi wanted to share his side of the story regarding his arrest for the murder of Armand Swartz, a former Transnet engineer. The report says on the 21st of July, Kunene, along with the young journalist Jabulani Binase, arrived at Mulefe's Santin home ready to interview him. However, the interview never took place as police arrived and arrested Mulifi. The report clarifies Binase is Kunene's nephew and has neither any journalism experience nor qualification. At the time of the incident, Binase was an intern at Kunene's news company for about 2 months. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Fochville Executive Mayor Nozuko Best says her office will try to respond to residents' demands for the immediate restoration of water within the given time frame of 25 hours. Kokosi Township residents in Johannesburg's West Rand took to the streets marching from the township to the Entov Highway earlier today. The community has had dry taps for weeks, with residents forced to fetch water from the local river. Tando Luhlengcobo is in the West Rand.
Fochville Executive Mayor Nozuko Best met with angry residents at the Entov Highway earlier today to receive their memorandum of demands. The community says if water does not come out of their taps by late tomorrow, the demonstrations will continue. Residents shut down businesses, public transport, and only allowed grade 12 learners to attend classes today as they protested over water shortages in their community. The issue was sparked by the Merafong municipality's 1.4 billion rand debt to Rand Water, which has resulted to 40% cuts in bulk water supply in some areas. Best signed the memorandum of demands and addressed the frustrated residents who are calling for her resignation.
Greeting residents, I heard what you are asking for in your memorandum. I will ensure that we respond within the time frame we were given. Thank you.
The mayor refused to respond to calls for her resignation. Tando Luhlengcobo, Eyewitness News.
In the Western Cape, a 25-year-old man linked to a triple murder in Khayelitsha earlier this year has been arrested. 3 people were killed and 3 others injured when they came under attack in Khayelitsha's C section on February 8th this year. Police say they received a tip-off about one of the suspects' whereabouts. However, he managed to get away while police were trying to arrest him. Here's the police's Wesley Twigg.
His freedom was short-lived when he was arrested on Monday 22nd September 2025 when he was appearing in court for another matter. The adult male will appear in the Khayelitsha Magistrates Court on Thursday 25 September on murder charges.
Staying in the province, Cape Town firefighters are trying to put out a fire at the Cavendish Square Mall in Claremont. Firefighters responded to a call of a fire on one of the parking levels at the mall just before noon. Fire Services spokesperson Edward Bosch says preliminary reports suggest that the fire is coming from the extractor fans.
Upon arrival, crews discovered smoke issuing from the roof of the mall. Law enforcement were requested to assist with evacuating users from the building. Crews have managed to locate the seat of the fire, which is on P3 level on the 3rd floor.
And in East Africa, Malawi's former president Peter Mutharika has taken a comfortable lead in the country's presidential race, with 2/3 of districts having reported provisional results. The 85-year-old has received around 66% of the valid votes counted so far, with his closest rival, the incumbent Lazarus Chakwera, trailing on around 24%. The results declared so far indicate that Mutharika has won in areas known to be Chakwera's strongholds, including the capital Lilongwe and Nkhotakota. But Chakwera's camp has not given up, saying that once the results are declared from other areas, his vote will increase and he could force a runoff. A candidate needs more than 50% of the vote to be declared the winner, with Malawians eagerly awaiting the final result from Tuesday's election, and the Malawi Electoral Commission has until the end of tomorrow to announce it. Gold's trading at $3,755.28 an ounce. The rand's at 17.35 to the dollar, at 23.45 to the pound, at 20.48 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.21 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Midrand on the N1 South, an accident reported right near Allendale Road, causing delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North towards Olifantsfontein Road. While traveling on the N3 South, we've got another accident reported right near Vincent Chabalala Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care.
A look at your weather. A partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures are peaking at highs between 30 and 32 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Police have praised the political killings task team after convicted murderer Sabelo Pewa was sentenced to 2 life terms and 20 years behind bars.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And I have to read a message here, a voice of somebody who did believe in the rapture. And this is what they said, as in specifically the one that is meant to be happening 23rd, 24th. And they say, we also heard about the rapture, and as firm believers in Christ, we took it seriously. The reason we believed it might happen is because of the state of the world right now. The things going on are just terrible, and so many signs point to the end of days. We've all been saying we're living in the end of time. So when the stories about the rapture came up, we believed them, but not blindly, like selling everything and making drastic decisions. Instead, we prepared spiritually. As a family, we fasted last week to make sure our spirits were ready. And just yesterday, we took Holy Communion together to remain rooted and always prepared in Christ. Thank you so much for sharing that message that is unsigned. So from Anonymous, I appreciate it. In this hour of the show, our series edition on Midlife Renewal, it's episode 4, Reinventing Your Career. I think many want to hear this. Advaita Naidu will join us, Africa MD at Jackhammer Global. And then we wrap up with our car feature. We'll be talking about South Africa being ranked 4th most challenging country to drive in. Oh, let me know if you believe it too. 011 8830702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Series Edition.
Series edition time on Midlife Renewal, as we've been doing for all of September. Today's episode 4, and we're looking at reinventing your career. We've looked at reinventing your health and wellness. We've looked at reinventing your relationship. And you can catch up on episodes 1, 2, 3 on primemediaplus.com or download the app. Today, we are joined by Advaita Naidu, who is Africa MD at Jackhammer Global. And I want to hear from all of you if you're finding yourself in a situation where you're in your midlife years, whatever that age bracket is that you consider for yourself, somewhere above 40, and you are looking at reinventing your career. This is for you, and I want to hear from all of you. Or maybe it's something you already did and you want to share some tips with everybody else listening. But I'd like to now welcome on our guest, Advaita. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Where does one even begin with reinventing if they found themselves, and I mean, we've had a conversation before around people who find themselves in workspaces where they kind of settled because at the time, you know, you had to do this field, your parents directed you there, or the stats said, oh, everybody's doing IT, or everybody must be a doctor. Now you are here in your midlife realizing you are not getting the kind of joy and fulfillment that you want out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a cliche, but midlife does force the question, is this it? I'm a newish in my 40s, in my midlife. And I think the people around me have collected quite a few things in abundance. The one is experience, and the other is just a bunch of existential questions. And there are people in my circles who are asking, am I going to stay the course? Am I going to do this thing that I decided I was going to do when I was 20? And is this really fit for my future purpose? And the one thing that I did study at university was developmental psychology. And I remember very clearly there was a psychologist called Erik Erikson who laid out these developmental stages from birth to the end of life. And this phase that we're in now is called the generativity versus stagnation phase. It's between 40 and 65. And it's the season where we're asking, how are we going to spend our finite energy? How can we make our lives count? And for some people, career satisfaction actually does dip in midlife or careers plateau. So it does become a time for reflection. And when we give it due consideration, pivots are less about running from failure and more about running towards meaning. What am I going to do for the rest of my career that's going to give me fulfillment?
Okay, and are you finding that with the way the world is changing, where I almost feel like so many are going through a spiritual awakening, we're trying to get back to ourselves, that more and more people are willing to let the security of a great paycheck or a stable income go?
Yeah, so I mean, look, some people do have that safety net, and that's wonderful for them. And I think that if you want to make a pivot from that place of safety, that is fantastic. The other pertinent factor that we can't ignore is that many professionals are forced into developing a plan B later in life. It's women re-entering the workforce after a parenting break or professionals who've been displaced by automation. So it's not always by choice. Sometimes it is forced by circumstance, but there are ways and means of making it happen. And also, I suppose sometimes people do just get tired of their boss and decide self-employment may be better than another 20 odd performance reviews until retirement. So there's a variety of reasons that lead people down this path. It's not new. It's just receiving a little bit more attention, a little bit more intentionality now.
I want to start maybe at the place that people wouldn't expect, which is the more later years of midlife, as in a person is starting to approach what would be considered your retirement years. So let's say from your mid 50s up. And the reason I want to start there is because the world is so focused obviously on young people, but realistically, many people in private sector, I'm not going to say government because there clearly is no limit as to how long you can stay working for. But many people get to this place where it's going to be retirement time, and then they don't necessarily want to be sitting at home drinking tea. So what would you advise for the people who the system is forcing them to reinvent?
So the first thing, I think, let's look at the fact that in corporate South Africa, there are a number of companies who are actually reconsidering retirement age, because traditionally we've thought it's appropriate for 60, and some companies are now increasing that age. So there are environments where people are recognizing that you don't need to necessarily stop at X age, because certainly mentally and cognitively, you're still fully capable of doing your job. The second is, I think people who are closest to retirement age need to appreciate that they have these powerful assets, which are perspective and networks, and being able to tell the difference between a crisis and an inconvenience. You've built up a fair amount of financial resilience, I hope, social capital, and a decent enough sense of self to know when to say no. So bringing depth and experience and knowing how not to waste your time on nonsense is going to stand you in good stead. So if you want to pivot into a different corporate role, there are options for that. And then if you want to pivot into entrepreneurship, there are those options available to you as well. I think it really just depends on what you want out of life and what is left for you in this last phase.
You touched on the fact that many companies are trying to possibly relook the retirement age. What was the age that they are considering? Because I know for some it was 60, for some it's 65.
So recently, I think mainly in the banking sector, the age has increased to 63 for a number of companies, and there are other organizations that are considering it. It hasn't been widely passed yet, but it's certainly a consideration and a discussion around boardroom tables.
Okay, so now when we look at the individuals who are in their 40s, early 50s, that are feeling that itch for a change, the itch for a change, What would you say the starting point should be before they go ahead and decide to, reinvent without really planning?
Well, I mean, that's exactly the point. Planning is the way to get it there. A career pivot works best when it's strategic and it's not impulsive. And so the first thing is consider whether you have the financial runway to do it. If you pivot without some sort of cushion, you're going to be stressed. There's research that shows that entrepreneurs with 12 to 18 months of savings are probably more likely to succeed. So downsize your expenses where you can. Have some sort of capital to buy yourself the freedom to experiment. And that leads me to the second thing, which means that you probably need to test the waters or dip your toe to consider a bridging role. So while you're still employed, build a side project or a consulting gig, volunteer in a sector that you might be curious about. That's a way to de-risk the transition for yourself, because a test and learn step is better than a big bang reinvention. And think about the timing. If you are in a current role, negotiate a part-time arrangement with your company, a sabbatical maybe, or a phased exit. It's more about evolution into something new rather than, really going hell for leather about it. I think something else that is a bit more existential is just focus on your identity, not a job title. Don't just swap out one thing for another. Think about who you want to be. What problems do you want to solve? What role you want to play in society? I think a lot of midlife pivots succeed well because they're purpose-driven. Like Simon Sinek says, start with why, which is not just a TED Talk cliche, because if your pivot is about escaping boredom, you're probably going to burn out. One that I get asked a lot about is upskilling. Do I need to do a degree in order to do something new in my life? And the answer is no. You can upskill selectively. You can do a short certification. I think something along the lines of digital marketing, coaching, project management. These are things that are going to make you more effective in any sort of role, to be honest. But if you're going to be pivoting, making a short move, this is probably something that's going to stand you in very good stead. And I think that the best advice I can give to anyone is to use your network effectively. Midlife transitions are easier when you're not doing it alone. Your network can be your superpower, and that's not just using people for job leads or to buy your product if you're going into entrepreneurship. Use them for feedback, for collaborations, for introductions, to be accountability partners. Be relational and not transactional, because social capital can be a finite resource if you spend it incorrectly. And then probably the most important thing is you're going to be a beginner. You're going to be starting at the bottom again. And that's humbling, but can also be quite freeing if you have growth mindset. So just treat everything as a learning experience.
I want us to take a call on 011-883-0702. And I see your WhatsApps coming in on the WhatsApp line 072702 and 702. Sally in Johannesburg, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
I am doing well, Sally, and I can't wait to hear your story. Tell us.
Well, my story is this. It's very interesting listening to this whole program. I happen to have left work early today. I am 86. I am still working full-time, driving. I start work 6:30, 7 in the morning, finish at 1600. So I'm working a full day, 5 days a week, and I'm totally independent. And I thought I would just let you know that possibility is not impossible. If you make yourself really indispensable to a boss, you can work for them forever.
So please tell me, Sally, what work are you doing at the moment?
Well, can I tell you that originally I traveled in Africa on business for 47 years. And when I turned 80, I said to my boss, enough is enough. I don't need to travel anymore. It's no longer a pleasure. And so now I work for him directly, but in the office, dealing with lots and lots of people from the 40-odd countries I visited during my working life.
My goodness, 86 years old.
Yes, indeed.
Advaita, is there anything you want to say to Sally while we've got on the line?
I mean, Sally, I think you should write the playbook on not just career pivots, but just on career longevity. That's amazing.
Yeah, look, there's no such thing as no. Has always been my policy. And I've had a fabulous life. I think if I had to stop working now, I would probably push up daisies quite soon, in a couple of months.
Oh,
so I'm
my
very
goodness.
blessed that I can continue working like this, and I love it.
Sally, just out of curiosity, what is keeping you so young and healthy that you're able to still drive around and have the stamina to do everything that you do?
I tell you what has been my working life, and always giving my utmost to everything, no matter what I do. I said there's no such thing as no. If somebody will tell me you can't do that, I'll say rubbish, I'm going to do it. It's being positive to yourself. Very important.
Oh, Sally, Sally, you are everything. Wow. I'm so inspired. Advaita, I don't know about you, but I am so inspired. There's a WhatsApp that says, Sally for president, love her. Then there's a question here that says, Relebogile, I'm in the process of reinventing myself. I'm 57. I'm a mental well-being coach. I co-authored a book and I'm about to publish my own. I travel around the country giving talks and promoting the books. I run retreats. I feel like I'm living my best life now. I never just fit into the 9 to 5, which I did for over 30 years. That's from Mamotebang Eva Segwe. Advaita, your comments on that one?
I mean, I think this is one of those examples where she's following her passion, and it's wonderful that she wasn't forced out of it. And now she's unlocked this value for herself and for the people around her. I think a lot of people, when they find themselves in the corporate drudge, they struggle to find that purpose. And now that she's found her own, I can see being in the coaching space that she's going to be able to help others find that. And sometimes it just needs somebody to have that confidence in you, or to help you take that leap of faith and remove the obstacles in front of your way to be able to see the possibilities.
And I love that the person is also delving into a variety of things. Do you think that is part of the secret, is finding a way that your career can have bits of things as opposed to one big thing?
Well, so it actually makes me think of one of my favorite career pivoters, who's Martha Stewart. I don't know if you know anything about her, but she studied art
I'm
history.
obsessed with that woman. I'm obsessed.
Well, I mean, and her story is just so compelling. She modeled as her first job, then she was a stockbroker, and she started a catering business out of her garage, and was exposed to the world of publishing because she catered a book launch party. And, for sure, that exposure was serendipitous, and somebody else may not have had that kind of exposure. But she turned an opportunity into a career, because what happened to make her a billionaire in the years to follow, it was she was doing something she was passionate about, and she was good at it, and she created a brand of herself. And so the TV show and all the books, and still being able to do that catering, that was her doing a lot of different things that she loved. And then obviously there's the fact that, she was on the cover of swimsuit, Sports Illustrated in a swimsuit. I mean, there is probably nothing that woman can't do. Yes, there have been some questionable choices, and something that was a little bit unsavory, but she still managed to bounce back after that. And I think she is the shining example of the pivot.
All right, we've got a voice note on 072-702-1702.
Hi, my name is Simon. I own a plumbing company. My builder is 74. He works harder than the younger guys I have. He says to me often, when I'm like, dude, you can retire now. He's like, nope, I will not. He thinks he says, when I stop, I go. And he loves what he does, and he's an inspiration to me. And yeah, no, it's awesome.
74-year-old builder. That is absolutely phenomenal. And I think, and I'm not sure if you see it the same way, that it truly is about having the will to do certain things to some extent.
Yeah, I've often heard that rationale that when I stop working, then I'm going to have no more purpose and no more meaning in life. And like our caller earlier said, she's going to start pushing up daisies if she stops. So it's something about the momentum that keeps you going, and the ability to still contribute. And if you can, why stop?
All right. In terms of the other advice that you can give those approaching midlife in terms of reinventing their career, because maybe it is something that is a lot simpler than one might consider. I mean, entrepreneurship, going into one's passions and finding ways to monetize what you already love. What are the other things that a person could look at?
But I think, the Martha Stewart example is one of those really exciting things to hear about. But to be more relatable, I don't think every pivot involves a R1 billion deal or a global empire, because some powerful reinventions are middle managers who left the 9 to 5 and built lives just to have more agency. So I know there's an IT expert who has a coffee roastery in Joburg. HR executives become leadership coaches. I know somebody whose second innings after a corporate finance role is to write children's books. And these are quieter stories, but they resonate because you don't need this massive capital injection or a famous surname to reinvent yourself. You need passion for what you do. You need a belief in yourself. You need people who are going to support you and help you get you there. And you just need the guts to say, I'm done with spreadsheets, I'm opening a bakery. But something that we often overlook is franchise ownership if we're thinking about entrepreneurship. And it's one of the most quiet reinventions where you in a corporate, you might feel a little bit stifled by the rigidity, but you can apply the best of what you've learned in a hybrid entrepreneurial or corporate environment. It's entrepreneurship with support, so you're not taking the plunge alone. And then if you're thinking about moving from one corporate role into another, or if you want to try a different vertical, just appreciate that larger businesses mostly have rigid hiring criteria, and they have a large selection of applicants who will probably tick every box. But smaller organizations like a startup or a mid-sized firm, something local, can be much more flexible and give you a chance to practice something new. And they need more versatile players. So if you want to move into a completely different industry and you think you've got the technical skills but haven't had a chance to apply them yet, approach a smaller environment where you can probably wear multiple hats and develop a wider range of skills.
Thank you so much for sharing all that you've shared just with regards to a person deciding to reinvent their career in their midlife stage. I really am of the belief that sometimes the only thing holding a person back from what they really want to be doing and can be achieving and reaching their potential is fear. And hopefully the older one gets, they are open and are super inspired by people like Sally, who you are working in your 80s, full-time, 9 to 5 and independent. One can only dream we can get to that level. Thank you for your time. It's 2:30. Time for latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu raised the alarm on the 360 million rand police tender awarded to alleged underworld figure Vusmusi Ket Matlala. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola confirmed this to the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry this afternoon during his testimony. Masemola indicated that as early as December last year, Mchunu instructed police management to investigate the tender awarded to Matlala's company Medicare 24 Tshwane District regarding an SAPS health risk management contract. The Merafong municipality says it failed to settle its 1.4 billion rand debt due to non-payment of services by residents and businesses. Municipal spokesperson Thabo Moloja confirmed they owe Rand Water and was subsequently slapped with a 40% water reduction. This led to a demonstration by residents of Kokosi Township who have been without supply for over a month. And the presidency says urgent reforms are needed to ensure the United Nations is able to enforce international law and human rights standards fairly across the board. This is part of President Cyril Ramaphosa's speech at the 80th United Nations General Assembly taking place in New York. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 3 o'clock.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N1 South coming out of Midrand, an accident reported near Allendale Road is causing heavy delays. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North approaching Olifantsfontein Road, while on the N3 South we've got an accident reported. This is in the Limbo Park area. It is right near Vincent Chabalala Road. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 South due to a car stuck on the road right near Van Buren Road turnoff, and it is causing some issues there. Heading towards Rand Park Ridge, another car stuck on the road near Bayers Nodia Drive. Please be on the lookout for that one and approach with care. Otherwise, roadworks are taking place on the N17 West, right near the R21, causing delays coming out of Carnival City. There's also roadworks along the Golden Highway. This is in the Freedom Park area, causing heavy traffic volumes between the N1 and Union Avenue, and traffic lights are out of order in Protea Glen at the R558 and the N12. They're also out in four ways at Winnie Mandela Drive and Leslie. I'm Amo Ramela, and that's your last traffic update from me. Otherwise, Relebogile will continue walking the talk with you from the top of the hour onwards. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702. Serving the 702 family in 702 land, including those of you in Kempton Park. Kempton Park was established in 1903 when Carl Friedrich Wolff subdivided a portion of his Zierfontein farm into residential stands and named it after the German town of his birth. Apart from suburbs, Kempton Park is also the home of many chemical and manufacturing industries, the Calvin Power Station, and OR Tambo International, Africa's busiest airport. 702. Let's walk the talk across 702 land, including Kempton Park.
When selling a car, there's nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. Sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. Need a new ride? Explore thousands of vehicles online or in store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted vehicle partner.
Life has its own rhythm, but muscle and joint pain may upset the beat.
Noflex Gel.
Trust Noflex Gel's triple action formula to target muscle pain, reduce inflammation, and help numb the affected area.
Noflex Gel.
So, get your beat back and reclaim the rhythm of life.
Noflex Gel.
Beat the pain with Noflex Gel and higher strength Noflex Gel Fort. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
South Africa, let's grow a greener future. Deputy Minister Bernice Swartz has launched the 1 Million Trees campaign, My Tree, My Oxygen. Plant yours today. On the 24th of September, that's tomorrow, Heritage Day and Arbor Month, every South African is called to help plant 1 million trees in one day. This bold action will fight climate change, restore the environment, and build healthier communities. Pledge a tree at dffe.gov.za or call 086 111 2468. The 1 Million Trees campaign. Grow a legacy together.
702 and corporates that care with Netcare are talking about Netcare's My Walk Made with Soul initiative.
This was an initiative that began in 2015, and a lady by the name of Delani Bezuidenhout visited us and said, look, I hear Netcare is very involved in sustainability initiatives. Would you be interested in recycling your intravenous drip bags because they're made of a toxic material called PVC? And in passing, she said to me, you know, possibly we could also make shoes. My appeal is that we've handed out 328,000 pairs of shoes. And so my appeal is for South Africans to get together and come onto our website, mywalk.org.za, and donate the cost of a cappuccino. Maybe you can donate 10 shoes.
Netcare, helping future leaders step into greatness. Visit mywalk.org.za to learn more. 702, let's walk the talk.
Coming up
On 702 Drive.
702 Drive coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. Thabo Sholemashao was standing in for John Burlman. How are you doing?
I'm free. How are you, Relebogile?
I am good. Did you hear our conversation at the top of the show?
I did. I was listening. I was driving here, so I picked it up. And it was Faisal and Johan, I think. Was it Johan?
Yes.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I think Muhammad came in and explained it quite nice. But I wanted to know for you, when for you does religion or culture or anything become a mental health crisis for a person?
As soon as you want it to be 100% factual exercise and you impose it on other people, you shouldn't. I wanted to correct something that Johan had said because I'm Catholic in my other life, and he was saying that Christianity and Catholic are separate. That's not true.
Oh.
It's not true. Not at all. It's the same thing. Catholicism is I think it's one of the religions ecumenically under Christianity.
Yes.
We are Christians first, and then we Catholic.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yo,
I thought Johan
you
must
know
get
there are
that
already
very clear.
people who are going to be like, we are Catholics before we are Christian.
No, you can't even separate them.
Yeah.
You can't even separate. But nonetheless, I found it very insightful. That segment, I really found it insightful because people hold on to their beliefs as if it's gospel truth, excuse the pun.
Not just that, so much so that they are willing for loss of life. That's how extreme people are willing to get. That's how
Yes.
extreme people are willing to
I
get.
mean, why? Why? Because if Relebogile believes in ancestors and Thabo doesn't, that is okay. That is okay. I don't understand. And by the way, are we coming to work on the 25th?
You mean tomorrow?
No,
Heritage-
the 25th.
the
Tomorrow is the
25th.
24th.
Yes. Why
When
would-
is the rapture?
It's today.
Is it today?
We've just been raptured. Did you not know?
We're not here. We are really not here.
They said it's today and tomorrow.
Okay. I thought it's the 25th.
No, they said the 23rd and the 24th.
Oh, okay. So we remained
Why
here.
you
We were
why
not
you
raptured.
why are you speaking like you're not going
I'm not going where?
to where those that are saved go?
Oh, I wouldn't qualify.
Let me not open
I
another
wouldn't
can
qualify.
of worms.
Yeah,
What's coming
yeah.
up on your show today?
A couple of things. You'd know that the Madlanga Commission is on day 5 right now, and on the stand, Fani Masemola, the National Commissioner of Police, and he's continuing to give evidence on very interesting things that are happening in that department. And we will be speaking to Oren Singh, the EWN reporter, to give us the very latest on today's happenings. And a little bit later on, we will speak to Nokanya Mtambo from EWN again about President Ramaphosa attending the United Nations General Assembly UNGA meeting in New York. We would want to find out what South Africa's position is going to be on a number of issues as the world leaders meet in the Big Apple. Also on the show, the issue of expropriation of land without compensation. There's a very serious issue in Ekurhuleni taking place right now between private land and local government. And local government is saying, we can only pay you 23 million rand based on the evaluation. And the private person is saying, no, it's actually worth 30. And they're going to court. And it could be that it might be expropriated without compensation, pending the outcomes of the court. We want to touch on that a little bit later on. And on a lighter side of things, Relebogile, we will be asking a very interesting question, and I'd love to hear from you about it. Generally, people with who have friends who've got kids, they want to impose their kids on everyone else. And they can only talk about the kids and nothing else 90% of the time. Is it fair on people who don't have kids or who don't want to talk about kids, even if they have kids? I mean, aren't they tiring friends with kids and they are just going on about my child this, my child
You know
that,
which
come
ones
to
are
my child?
worse?
Yeah.
The ones where they say it's a child-free event, but you still bring
Yeah,
your children.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, but I didn't have, and it's like a formal wedding where you've paid for a venue and there are kids. So one day I'll share with people why I support people who are child-free, even though I have a child.
Really?
Yes.
You must tune in.
No,
and call in. To
no,
the show.
it's simple. But why I say that is that this dung is nie pap and vlees nie. This parenting thing is not pap and vlees. At least once every 2 weeks, I call my parents to be like, come and take it. I'm giving it away. I'm putting it in an Uber. It will find its way.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, and
It's
I
not
think
easy.
we don't respect enough because for you your child is your world, but it's not everybody's world.
No,
not
no.
everybody thinks your kid is as cute as you do.
Exactly,
or he's
that's
that
angelic.
smart.
Yeah.
So it's all good and well, yes, to once in a while you're a parent, of course that becomes your world.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in imposing that on other people. If a person's like, no, it's a no kids zone.
Yeah.
If I really can't go, then I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And why didn't you attend my kid's birthday? I was drinking with adults. And, you know?
Yes.
It was not that important. I just wanted to chill with my friends. I think those things, it's going to make us so unpopular, but your kid is not everything to everyone.
Also, choose your friends that I
don't
nearly
have
said,
kids.
no, I was going to say, choose friends who like your kid. Like, I have friends
Yeah.
who actually like my kid. So when they visit and my son claims them as his
Yeah.
friends, they have their own relationships.
yeah.
But you do need adult-only time. These little people are exhausting.
Yeah.
So I'll be tuning in.
We're gonna be
702
cancelled.
Drive. He'll be cancelled on his own. 702 Drive, hosted by Taba Shole Mashao from 3 to 6 p.m., standing in for John Pillman.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Traffic is trafficking. The robots aren't AI, but more like an eye roll. And service delivery isn't delivering, but luckily Takealot is. Shop anything from beauty and sport to tech and toys at everyday low prices and get it delivered to your door faster than you can get home, even when you take the back roads. A delivery so quick the speed thrills. Halala with no limits, just the open road of happiness before you. Takealot, happy delivered.
Think radio is out of reach? Think again. With Prime Media Credit, you can get your brand on 947, 702, KFM 94.5 and Cape Talk now and pay later. Flexible finance, big impact. Email advertise@primemedia.co.za. Prime Media Credit, powered by Bridgement.
702 and corporates that care with Tracker are talking about Tracker's partnership with Matthew, an initiative helping South Africa's future leaders succeed in maths and science.
We have been part of this incredible country for the last 29 years. South Africa has helped us grow into the organization that we are and has helped us be part of the economy of this country. So fundamentally, we now have to give back. We have to make sure that not just for the last 29 years, but for the future 29 years, we're participating in that conversation. Secondly, Bongani, Tracker is growing exponentially at the moment. We're employing at all levels within the organization, from top to bottom in essence. So what we're actually looking for as part of that growth fundamental is to make sure that we have the right people coming into the organization. We can either be part of the solution or we can be part of the problem or do nothing.
Tracker, protecting futures by investing in STEM education. Visit matthew.co.za to learn more. 702, let's walk the talk.
702.
The car feature.
15 minutes to 3 o'clock, time for the car feature. And today we're joined by Michael Pashut, who is owner of the online platform Change Cars and host of All Things Motoring on the DSTV channel 189. Chatting South Africa being ranked the 4th most challenging country to drive in. And I so want to hear from all of you in terms of your experiences, as if you think that South Africa has been ranked correctly as the 4th most challenging country to drive in. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 7021 702. Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I love the way you pronounce my surname. Perfect.
Oh my goodness, I'm so relieved. I of all people.
It's brilliant. If there's anything that always makes me laugh, is the way the surname gets mispronounced. Absolutely spot on first time, and really a privilege to be on the show.
Shout out to my producer for making sure I was trained in time. All right, so let's chat now, because this is information coming from World's Best Drivers Index for 2025.
So I think it's a little bit harsh to say 4th most difficult. I would say literally every country in Africa going north would be more difficult. Many countries in Central America, however, we are not the best. There's no question. We're not European or Asian standards, but definitely not 4th or worst.
Okay, and I mean, we do know with these studies they don't necessarily go into every single country and all of those things. But maybe let's kick off with the who ranks above us, or maybe even share the top 10 that have been ranked, and then we can chat about what makes South Africa so challenging to drive in.
Of course. I'm sure, like many of our listeners, we've had the privilege of traveling to Europe, traveling to North America, traveling to Australia, possibly. When you go to any clearly defined first world country, the rules of the road, the rules of everything, call a spade, are obeyed. In South Africa, unfortunately, the rules are not applied. So you asked who ranks above us. I would say Canada, the US, any Asian country, Australia, New Zealand, essentially first world classified countries.
Okay, and I think there's a part of me that was like, well, the number of potholes we have in Gauteng alone make it that difficult to drive in. But I know that there are other factors that are looked at.
Of course. So interestingly, I'm proudly South African. I still think our roads are very, very first world. The layout, the fundamentals of our roads, there's no question. You're right, there are a lot more potholes than there would have been 5 or 10 years ago. But if you said to me, what is the simple biggest challenge that we have in South Africa, and maybe some people will hold it against me, it's the taxis. If you think about your trip to work, your trip home in rush hour, it's all around a taxi overtaking on the left, blocking certain lanes for taxi ranks. So I believe the biggest challenge in South Africa is the taxi organizations, sadly.
And is that just in terms of the unpredictability, or
Correct.
the times where the organizations and the name has just gone out my head. The taxi organizations start to put people's lives in danger by like taking their cars and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's a story for another day. You don't want to get me started on that because my blood boils and I don't talk as calmly as I am now. But you used the word unpredictability. Absolutely. Again, anybody listening will say, wow, Mike is saying what we encounter every day. You're driving and out of nowhere, a taxi cuts in from the right-hand lane across to the left-hand lane to drop passengers. You're driving in the left-hand lane, out of nowhere, the taxi stops. You come to an intersection, there's a taxi blocking it because he's dropping off passengers. If it sounds like I'm picking on an organization, not the intention, but the question is, why are our roads relatively dangerous compared to first world countries? And I believe the taxi industry, which is fundamentally not regulated, not playing by the rules, is contributing the largest part to this.
Okay, I want to now look at the fact that as South Africans, we are quite heavy drinkers, and I know that also plays a factor.
So remember at the top of the conversation, I said law-abiding, and then you go to first world countries. Drinking and driving is breaking the law. I can say proudly, very truthfully, I'm a total teetotaler. I don't drink and drive. But I've seen with my own eyes, you go to a function, people that are close to you, people that you fundamentally respect, they will get in the car when they shouldn't. So our high drinking rates on the roads, no question, plays an incredible role. And remember as well, when we talk about road deaths in South Africa, we include pedestrians. Your average, sadly, pedestrian that gets knocked over has been drinking. And you can find out from the authorities if I'm correct on that. A pedestrian that's got knocked over was under the influence.
I've heard that one too as well, that it isn't just drivers, it was pedestrians under the influence. I want to just briefly chat about the road deaths that we have in South Africa. Those stats come out quite regularly. How are we doing as South Africans?
One word, terribly. And I want to use the word deservedly so. Why do I say deservedly so? If it was a case of we've got these natural disasters, etc., that are causing death, you can't fix it. But we have got road deaths based on alcohol, bad driving, speeding, a little bit of the bad roads that you spoke about. If you go to certain of our rural areas, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, those rural roads, even though they're tar, they're only imitating tar. It's in terrible condition. People swerve out to avoid a pothole, get hit by a truck, get hit by a taxi. But the short answer to your question, we are doing terrible, and I use the word deservedly so. The authorities, the government, they are not doing what they can to enforce the law and give us safe roads. Fundamentally, South Africans, I believe, are law-abiding, but you allow them to break the law, and they will.
Can we talk about speeding? Are we speedsters in South Africa?
So interesting, and again, why I say interesting, I can wear two hats on this. I don't believe it's speed that is killing, because you take the average crash that has happened on the road, on the highway. It's not been because people have been speeding. It's because of bad driving. It's because of unroadworthy cars. So is speeding condoned? Far, far from it. I've got a podcast where I said I never want to see the speed limit increase from 120, but I don't believe speed is the biggest concern that we have. It's reckless driving, and sometimes don't last people driving too slow in the fast lane, people doing 80 kilometers an hour in the right-hand lane, and people overtake on the left-hand lane, and something happens sadly.
Why are they there? I genuinely don't understand why people choose to go into the fast lane to drive slow.
I can see it's a personal bugbear for you.
Oh my gosh. Because sometimes I'm like, sir or ma'am, why are we doing this? Is denial really a river in Egypt?
You're making me laugh. So we've all heard the term keep left, pass right.
Yes.
It's so simple. What it means is, unless you're overtaking, if you spoke about first world countries, in Australia as an example, you will not drive in the right-hand lane. You will stay in the left-hand lane. Should you need to overtake the car doing 5 kilometers slower than you, you will go into the right-hand lane. Right? Keep left, pass right. If we could just do that in South Africa and be in the right lane, another big step forward.
Okay, and that's something important to note. All right, a person on the WhatsApp line says, please ask about road markings.
So remember I spoke about the authorities doing what they need to do. Exactly that, road markings. You're driving at night, you can't clearly see the white lines, whether it be a solid white line that's no longer what it used to be, or those reflectors that you should have on the center island, in the center of the road. So road markings in this country are poor. However, because we've got the G20 coming in November, has everybody noticed all of a sudden road markings are being done? Why? Road markings being done is first world standards. You've got good road markings, you're on top of it. So all of a sudden, we're pretending to be on top of it. But to the WhatsApp question, shocking historically.
Okay, and we do keep hoping that the government does what they need to do. One person says, South Africans do not keep to the law. Midrand, Auckland Park, it is a mess.
So let's look at an intersection. You know the robot is going to change against you, but what do the people do at an intersection? Instead of just stopping everybody behind them, they go ahead and try cross. They can't cross, now they're blocking the intersection, and that's how you have that traffic. Again, 100% not doing what is right in the moment and causing consequences for others. Now you're getting my blood boiling. I'm joking. But you can everybody who's listening can actually live it. They can say, wow, Mike and the host are right. This is what happens in the morning. This is what happens in the afternoon. Play by the rules and everybody benefits. Break the rules and everybody's affected. Simple as that.
I have to ask you, Michael, do you think there's any contribution to our ranking that comes from the fact that we don't really have cycle lanes?
So again, very interesting question. I won't pretend that I've thought of that, but I would say to anybody who's looking to cycle, and I'll answer the question in a second, anybody who's looking to cycle on South African roads, don't do it. It's just too dangerous. Even riding a motorbike, in my opinion, is dangerous. But cycle lanes, dedicated cycle lanes would help tremendously. People would feel comfortable to use it, and that would naturally reduce traffic. And when you're near a cyclist, I think most people are a little bit more cautious, which is very, very good. You see an elderly person walking, you're more cautious. You see a cyclist, you're more cautious. So let's get some cycle lanes and another step forward.
Yeah, that is a very important one. Somebody says here, there are foreigners driving on our roads who have never passed our road testing requirements. I don't know about those facts, but what are your thoughts there?
Not even a question. Again, and I don't say it with any arrogance, I refer to the podcast because we love talking about these topics, and this is why I'm so appreciative to be on your incredible show. You take the Checkers 60/60 bike riders. You take the Uber bike riders. Fundamentally, they are foreigners. Do they have a license? Do they look like they've got a license? Do they look like they've got a license that is authentic, the way they drive? In my opinion, no. So I think when the listener is referring to foreigners, it's my opinion that they're talking about that. I've noticed an incredible frustration building against these motorcyclists. Do they obey the rules? No. They go through robots. They don't stop at booms in shopping centers. They don't go the right way around a traffic circle. You allow that to become the norm, and you're just on a slippery slope to being the third worst as opposed to the fourth worst.
I'm with you there, Michael. Thank you so much for your time. And you guys can catch him hosting all things motoring on DSTV channel 189 and also on his online platform, Change Cars.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Helen is bigger than the DA. In the same way that Cyril Ramaphosa was bigger than the ANC at some point. I don't care what color the person is. I really don't. I don't even care how old the person is. If they can do the job, let them do the job. But I think we must also be sober about what the job actually entails. I don't think anybody is going to be able to walk into those council chambers and begin to bark orders. I think that the most successful mayor in Joburg will be the one that is able to manage the dynamics of coalition politics.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Mzansi, your dreams could take flight when you play Powerball and Powerball Plus this Tuesday for a massive 152 million rand in total estimated jackpots. Play Powerball for an estimated 83 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 69 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are back tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Police inquiry hears that Minister Mkhunu raised the alarm over a fraudulent 360 million rand tender, and Trump to address the United Nations for the first time since his return to office. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin in the capital, where it's come to light that Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu was the one